welcome to the Crafty Mini. We're going to make a Peppa Pig monster toy thing today. It was Sally's choice on the YouTube short, so we're going to go ahead and start now. It's mainly going to be air dry clay, some steel wire, and the tools we need to actually sort of fix it together. Right, so I'm just going to use my immense strength and there we go. Take your tail off. Peppa doesn't need that, and I guess that's the weeble bit. So I'm going to start off just bulking up the actual toy itself now with the clay. Trying to get a rough shape, an idea of what I want to do with this. So it's, those who've watched the YOg-Sothoth episode, very similar sort of thing, but I want to keep the characteristics of Peppa on this. You'll see throughout the video there's a few things that I change, and I'll add bits and then take them off, because I'm never always 100% happy with what I'm doing. But eventually, yeah, it's pretty disgusting, the final product.
Have you explained why you don't sound very well at the moment, sir? Have you explained your sinus problem? Honestly, this crafty bloke, he's terrible, terrible.
Alright Sally, leave it out. You chose this, I'm making it, alright? Just back off. Right, so I'm just going in with the clay shaper now. I'm working on the mouth. I want this thing to have a huge sort of gaping maw for its mouth. Make it really disgusting and gelatinous. Obviously this is future me, and yeah, it looks pretty gross. So Crafty, just keep going. It will work. You'll change it a few times, but it does look good in the end. Right, so now I'm going to start bulking out the body, because I realise it obviously being top heavy without being a weeble, so it turns out it doesn't right itself all the time. So I'm just going to start adding, mushing things in, and again this changes right the way through the video.
Yeah, you didn't mind think that through, did you? Huh? Shocking, shocking.
Yeah, that's why that trick always works with air dry clay. So here I go again now. So I'm working out, trying to get a rough idea of how it's going to look when it's finished. I want it to have some sort of tail and a big sort of amorphous body. And it gets a lot bigger than this towards the end. I have to end up putting it on a base. So I'm adding a tail and start sort of blending it out and add ridges, and again this changes. Nice thing working with clay is you and you never really have to stick with it. So originally I wanted a twisted mouth. Very sort of John Carpenter's The Thing was the idea I was going for here. It sort of stays like that. It's a bit more open, but yeah, it's at the moment it's sort of looking like a twisted Jabba the Hutt. Now these arms, you'll see I'll spend so much time working on these, adding and taking away and bending and reshaping, and in the end I completely change them. Don't be afraid to change things, add things back on. If you don't like it, take it off and you know, go back to the original step. Working with clay is brilliant. There is no hard and fast rule. Yeah, there's certain techniques and things that you pick up, and I'm still learning as I do this. Most of the time I make this stuff up. I really want to work with some polymer clay in the future, because that's different in that with air dry, you know, it can have cracks and things as it's drying, and you've got to be a bit more careful with it. And also when it's done, if you drop it, it's going to break. Polymer clay that can be a bit more durable and longer lasting, and you can get better texture and shapes and all the folds and things on the actual clay itself. And then it's got like almost like a save system, so you can bake a part of it, and then when it's cooled, go back in and start adding more things to it, bake it again like a save, and then keep going in and adding in. And it's, in terms of like durability and I think flexibility for what you can actually make, the more I'm sort of researching into it, it looks like it's a good way to go. So it's something I'm definitely going to be doing in the future on the channel. And if anyone's got any ideas of what they'd like to see sculpted, let me know in the comments. Because at the moment I'm just going really twisted and Lovecraftian, but I've seen all sorts of things, Pokemon, actual miniatures and things like that. But we'll see where it goes. So here I'm going back to tried and tested ball bearings, because they just make great eyes. Now with Peppa Pig, if anyone's ever seen, there's an image of a realistic Peppa Pig, and she's actually got 4 eyes, because in the cartoon there's 2 eyes on the side of her head. So So I thought, right, I'm going to do that here. So I do a larger one with the ball bearing and then a smaller one out of clay. And you'll see later I actually change that. I still keep the 4 eyes, but I use 2 lots of ball bearings and I push one in deeper so it looks smaller. The little pig ears, this adds a lot of character. And looking at the final product now while it's drying, while I'm recording this, that does make it more noticeable that it is Peppa Pig in the end. And again, just using my silicone shapers, just to add a bit of texture onto these and make sure they're all sort of smoothed into the head.
It needs more on the body, more fat and gristle and chunky bits.
Do you want to lay off? Are you doing the voiceover on me? Huh? Pack it in. Yes, I'm going to explain that I'm adding bits on to make it more bumpy and lumpy, just like we did on the YOg-Sothoth. And again, going around, because it's air dry clay, either a wet finger or a bit of Vaseline, just smoothing things out. And at this point I am constantly looking at those arms and going, no. So this is when I decided to change them. So I've been listening to audiobook, dramatisation of The War of the Worlds, and those weird eyes that they have on stalks came to mind, and I was like, right, that's what we're going to do for the arms. Oh, sorry, I had to rip those off.
That really hurt, that did. There'd be no need for that. Oh, I mean, I do get 2 new ones, but that hurt, that did.
I love this technique. You just pinch it around the actual ball bearing. You can make all like really nice shaped eyelids and things. So again, straight back onto the wire, sort of start moulding it round. If anyone knows of a better way of doing this, actually, with the armature wire, let me know. I have noticed that with polymer clay this isn't as much of an issue with the bacon bond that you add, but with air dry it can be a pain. You have to keep twisting it.
Well, I can't wait for you to finish this, and then we're going to open the gate to YOg-Sothoth.
Have a look at the head, the nose. That's another big feature. So I decided, right, this is where we're gonna chuck a big nose. Now, obviously, with the face and the mouth, how it's all split open, I can't put the nose on the head. So let's just make this more disturbing. We're going to chuck it on the side of the body.
Oh, go on, lad.
So just get a rough shape of it. You see there, pierce 2 holes, and I'll just cut a chunk out of the flesh on the side, and sort of pinch this out, and that's where the nose is going to go. And again, when you get to the final shots, it's disturbing. It's horrible, but that's what we're going for. We want a monster.
We're getting some bits on this now, ain't we, lad? Eh? Right, I'm going to go and put kettle on. You want one?
Yeah, actually, go on. Now she's looking a bit sparse at the moment.
YOg-Sothoth is the gate. YOg-Sothoth is the key. YOg-Sothoth knows the gates. Cup of tea.
Sally, shut up. I'm recording. Now this part in the mouth, I want to add some layers and gums. So I pinch a little piece of a shape. You see here, I push it in and this will build up layers and folds. And then on the bottom I just sort of neaten that up and roll that through and then mush it back down in the mouth.
Oh, mouth.
And it sort of looks like those gums
Gum.
that are protruding from underneath the split lip on its face.
And what a thing.
And again, go back in with the clay shaper and change things out. Seriously, shut up. Now, tentacle time. It can't be a Lovecraftian monster without tentacles, so roll out some worms of clay and start adding them on. You can see here the coaster. This will be the actual base that it sits on. With these coasters as well, have a look at things like charity stores. This is where I pick up these sort of things. I think it was a pack of 4 for a couple of quid, and they make great bases for monsters. It looks like they're just MDF or chipboard or something. And that's what I use for any of the bigger projects. There's some tentacles out the front, and again you'll see I'll add some on the side as well. There's some extras and have them all overlapping. It just all adds to that silhouette of the actual finished piece when it's done. And again, I'm just trying to figure all this out. Eventually this will be glued down onto the actual coaster. So going in and adding a few more, blending it into the back, having them sort of droop around. And that tail piece, you'll see I'll do something with that as well, because I don't think it looks particularly good at this point.
Tell me it don't look bloody good. Bloody shambles is that. Better hurry up and get this done properly, right? Because YOg-Sothoth needs this. This is going to be his avatar so he can come out of gate. Don't worry about that, you just make it and get it painted, right? And work on that arse. It's terrible. Needs an eyeball in it so we can see everything. You know, he does watch He's the watcher.
Seriously,
Carry on
shut
recording.
up.
Go on.
I've had enough now. I want to get this voiceover done. I don't feel particularly well. I want to get the video out, so be quiet. And I'm adding another little eye stalk here just under the folds of those two tentacles. And I add some more eyes just on the underside of the belly.
Oh, belly. Belly, belly, belly. Good word.
And now I'm thinking of doing another piece for the mouth, just to make it bulk out a bit more. So again, same sort of thing, making a piece. It's roughly the shape, pinch it into form, and push it in. And then going in and adding some texture with the shapers. I've got a couple of rollers that you saw on the YOg-Sothoth video. I've used those in as well, just to add bumps. Now that tail, I decided, right, we're basically going to make a face on its arse, because why not? So I've chucked an eye in, and I use my sort of shovel shaped, I think that's what it is, that's what you call it, the shaper, and I'm using them to make the mouths like we did on the YOg-Sothoth. And then I add a few more around the body at different angles. And again, this just adds to that weird aesthetic, and it does look disturbing when it's done, because they're out of place, and then they're not. It's not what it should be. But overall, in the end, you can still make out that it is Peppa Pig, especially with the nose and those two little ears. So I'm just going in now, adding a few more eyeballs, knitting up a few things, and this is when I decide, right, we're changing the eyes. So I just reshape all the lips first.
That's for you, right? He needs more eyeballs. He is the watcher, after all, as I keep saying. Good job on this, though, I'll be honest with you, mate. You've chucked a few more in. Looks dead good, that. More scary. Chucked them in deeper and all, didn't you? So it looks smaller and look like they're different sizes. Very clever. You're not bad for a human, you. Clever picture. What? Oh, am I talking over your recording again? Oh, I am terribly sorry. Have a cup of tea. You'll feel better. Go on, let's go.
You done? Thank you. Right, so now I'm just working out how he's going to sit on the base. Add a few more tentacles, just bulk it out a bit more. And then I just glue it down with some PVA and just leave it to soak in as the air dry clay is actually drying out, ready for the paint job. When we're going to bring this thing to life. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on the next episode where we're going to paint the Peppa Pig YOg-Sothoth.
That were alright, wasn't it, eh? Didn't do too bad on that one, considering you're bloody ill. You're going to do all that post-credit stuff now, all that posh stuff, you know, make it look like a VHS and all that, eh? Like, comment, subscribe and all that YouTube fun. Go on then, hey, have a bit of fun, go on lad.